I did a podcast the other day on suburbs in transition, and when I actually reflected on how to buy property with suburbs in transition, I had a look at the properties that I've bought over the last decade, and I've actually doubled what's considered a good capital growth for property. So a good capital growth for property is considered to be 7% per annum compounding, which is basically property doubling in 10 years. When I look back at the properties I've purchased, even over just the last 5 years, I've actually more than doubled that. So even the properties that I've been developing, if I did nothing else other than just buy and hold them, I've actually done more than 15% per annum capital growth on those. And there's only one reason why those properties have actually done that. One is they are development sites, and I have bought them well under market value to start with. So I have realized their full potential, and in some instances, I've actually more than quadrupled the value of the properties with development. So there is that strategy, but just from a passive buy and hold strategy with these properties, the reason they've grown in value just from the capital growth, other than COVID, because that's obviously helped as well, but just from the capital growth is because they're actually in a suburb that's in transition. And the reason why you get so much capital growth with these suburbs in transition is you take a suburb that's a sleepy hollow and developers like myself go in there and spend a whole heap of money basically regentrifying the whole suburb. So building things like high rises, not me in particular doing high rises, but they'll come in, they'll build high rises, cafes, shops. We'll put in a whole lot of housing, and it's all these new properties that are more expensive than the surrounding existing properties, the existing homes. But you've got to keep in mind that if you miss the window on these suburbs in transition, then they sit stagnant for quite some time. But that's the property market cycle anyway. And if you can understand that property markets go through different cycles where you have a period of growth, which only lasts for 2 to 3 years, and then you have a period of stagnation, which can go anywhere from 2 years to 5 years typically, but in regional areas they can go for even longer, like we've seen the last 10 years. So if you get in a market thinking that you're going to do well in a suburb in transition, you might have to wait out another 5 to 10 years. So you've got to time it right, and the timing of the right is actually at the start of the growth curve. And in the instances where I've bought before that growth has actually happened, which is why I've been able to well and truly surpass the capital growth in 5 years. So if you want to know my strategies on how to understand the property market, and especially suburbs in transition, where you can more than double the capital growth over the long term, then I do cover this in a lot more detail in my property accumulator, my real estate accumulator training. The link is in the bio if you want to know. And to enroll, jump on the website after you've watched the training, which you do need to register for. Link in bio. See you on there.